करना चाहते हैं
3, 2. Time is not counting. 1. Welcome to another episode of the King Pair podcast. Australia has won the World Cup. Thoughts?
Have
Won the World Cup and has won the World Cup.
for the past 6 times of the 8 finals that they have made in World Cup history. It has to be the most successful team that world cricket has ever come across.
Yeah.
Across generations.
Yeah, and I mean, this is not new where Australia ruined a perfectly good campaign for any other team going unbeaten up until a knockout stage. I don't think anybody saw this coming. I think the Australians didn't see this coming, and I don't mean the Australian team, I meant the Australian fans.
The 3,000 that there are.
Between 100 and 3,000 fans that were in India and the stadium.
There were more Indians in the stadium than there are Australians in Australia.
Yeah, seemed like it. And I think at the end of the match, it sounded a lot like Australia as well, with the silence for, I think, the whole second half of the game.
Yes.
India's batting, I mean, surprising. Sharma started off really well, but as soon as the wickets fell, Kohli and KL all stuck in for a bit. But yeah, they just couldn't capitalize.
Yeah, they couldn't sustain it, and I think a खूबसूरत bowling spinners का पूरा भरपूर सही इस्तेमाल. Zampa was as
Maxwell
brilliant.
got Rohit.
Maxwell got a wicket, and then Cummins, Stark, and Hazelwood are just world class bowlers as they are. That's what won them the Test Championship. That's what has won them the World Cup, and I mean, there's not much you can say. The last team you want to be in the final against is Australia because they just keep winning and they have a knack to do it, and almost seems like it's a habit now. There were many of these people who were involved in the 2015 World Cup campaign that Australia had won, and we were talking about how we have 10 generations who have not won a single World Cup.
Yeah.
And Australia has one generation that seems to have won like 10 World Cups. It seems like almost. I mean, there's not much you can say. Do you think that this is a team that could compete with or end up competing with Steve Waugh's or Ponting's cricket team?
I think the Cummins era, definitely. I think the last 2 years they kind of went hush-hush for a while in the middle. They struggled in Asian conditions, but I think they've won their last 2 World Cups in Asian conditions and the Test Championship in England. But they've won a lot away from home. And we were just, again, coming back to the point that Australia में 2015 में जो World Cup था, जिसको को 9 साल हो गए, 8-9 साल हो गए उस World Cup को, उस टीम में से जो इस टीम में अभी तक खेल रहे हैं players. George Billy was in the coaching, I mean in the team management, but then we have Pat Cummins,
Hazelwood,
Stark, Marsh, Maxwell, Smith, Warner. I mean, these are such big players, and I think their ability to develop players over such a long and sustained period of time is just, I think that's why they're a world apart. Like हमारी 2019 से लेके अभी तक कितने चेंजेस हैं हर टीम के, इनफैक्ट बहुत बड़ी बड़ी टीम्स के, न्यूजीलैंड perhaps being one जिसमें नहीं इतने ज़्यादा हुए, बट आप हमारा अगर 2019 का स्क्वाड में 2015 में से मेरे ख्याल से कोई है ही नहीं from that team. It's a completely new look, but they've had a very similar looking fast bowling attack, a very similar looking batting order even. A lot of players that have come in place of retired players, Clark, Watson, and so on. I think Australia की ability to hold and build a strong team culture, and I think ये team से पहले हमने mental toughness की भी बात हम कर रहे थे. We were talking about how their own मुल्क का एक कल्चर होता है जो आपको ऑस्ट्रेलिया में नजर आता है, न्यूजीलैंड में नजर आता है. वो टॉक्सिसिटी परहैप्स इतनी ज्यादा नहीं होती जो आपको Pakistan, India, even England. We talked about them being a bit erratic, but they've kind of done a lot of work to get out of that.
That kind of professional cricket that they have been maintaining over the past, I don't know now, like 4 decades now, and India is new to it. India has come to that professional level of fitness and training and coaching staff and what have you, but they're still very new to this. But Australia has been doing this for generations. मुझे याद है कि 99 के अंदर एक 90s के अंदर जो late 90s की टीम जीते जा रही थी उनके वर्ल्ड कप्स early 2000 late 90s के, तो उसके अंदर ये कहते थे कि आप ऑस्ट्रेलिया की शेफील्ड शील्ड which is their domestic cricket, जो कि उसके बाद फिर आप इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट खेलते हैं, आप उनके डोमेस्टिक क्रिकेट में से कोई रैंडम 11 लोग निकाल लें तो वो पाकिस्तान की टीम को शायद हरा सकती है. एंड आई विल नॉट बी सरप्राइज्ड इफ यू नो अ टीम फ्रॉम शेफील्ड शील्ड ever plays an international team and ends up beating them in a series or something, because they're just that good. Ponting wrote how he had to wait 3 Sheffield Shield seasons, yani ki 3 saal after he was like, while he was at his peak, to have entered the international team, to have debuted for Australia. And he would say कि मैंने, I don't know, मेरा ख्याल है he was like कि मैंने 450 मारे उस सीजन के अंदर और कुछ 200 मारे उसके अंदर. And I came out thinking, you know, like my test debut is guaranteed. And then he saw Gilchrist, who had 2 double centuries and 500s. And the same went with bowling. I mean, you had Glenn McGraw and Shane Warne just dominating. People, generations and like fields of like players would retire without debuting for Australia, who could have debuted and won, in fact, tournaments for any other team in the world. And for a team that has been doing that for so long, I think it comes as no surprise that
and
they keep
speaking
winning.
of Cummins has added another huge and perhaps one of the biggest trophies to his physically biggest trophy. I mean, Test match is pretty big too, but the World Cup trophies, I think, just about there in length and size. He's added that in no time, and he's got a tiny trophy right next to it called the Ashes. We were talking about, again, Australian cricket culture, and we talked about how winning in knockouts at least is just habit for them now. It's like second nature, and so is choking. You know, India's there, 9 wins, 10 wins in the competition, haven't lost a single game, and they just get to the final and they're like, choke me daddy, and Australia gave them a choke. Australia gave them a choke.
I also think it has to do a lot with captaincy. And I feel like when India has won World Cups, they have won it because of great captains. Kapil Dev and Dhoni were both considered brilliant captains. And I mean, any team which wins the World Cup, unless it's a complete fluke, which is very rare, wins it because of their captains. Ranatunga, Ponting, Steve Waugh.
You're kind of straying away from a name. I don't really like that.
Qasim ke Abba, as they call him, because they can't name him now. I mean, Dhoni was a great captain, and it feels like Cummins is as well. He's sort of hands off, it feels like. He has a very chill attitude. He knows what his team is, what the plan is.
Well, and
he
the
knows
team
that
knows
the team knows what the plan is, And they just go out there, execute it. They don't overthink it, it seems. They don't take a lot of pressure. I mean, they understand that it's a natural part of the game and they just go with it. Even like आज भी जब उनकी 3 विकेटें गिर गई थी, they were 30 for 3 or something of that sort. They were chill. यानी कि Travis had आके अपनी natural shots खेल रहा था.
Also.
And then they played the situation.
And Lavashakne, he's like, they ended up with like 48 of 90 something balls. Just what the situation needed, and they won with like 5-6 overs.
नहीं मेरा ख्याल है उसने आज half century की है.
And Lavashakne was, I don't think, intended, or he wasn't playing ODI cricket until, I mean, who was playing what format? Like ODI cricket was hardly existing until a few months ago. But he kind of was a bit of a contentious entry into the side. Having said that, though, you talked about captaincy, and I think every World Cup final has had that bit of story, at least with the player, and maybe stories will come out from the Australian side. I'm not sure with the losing side anybody cares, but in '92 it was that Imran Khan coming out to bat at number 3 or 4, coming up the order and kind of taking the game on, and then '96 it was Arvinda de Silva just having a go at Warren. '99 it was nothing really happened in '99, and I think there's a bit of a blind side. Like I'm kind of like blindsided in
'99 हुआ था World Cup?
I'm not sure.
We don't talk about it, even if it happened.
Yeah, not sure if it happened. We had that Gilchrist story with him coming out and batting
with the squash ball in his glove.
Yeah.
2007 World Cup, for those of you who don't know.
Against Sri Lanka.
Against Sri Lanka, Australia was batting, and Adam Gilchrist, who was an opener, great left-arm wicket-keeper opener.
You're like the Bok out of the two of us.
तुम Rashid Latif हो.
I'm Rashid Latif. Yeah.
You speak against all the immoralities of Pakistan.
I am the immorality.
नहीं वो मैं हूँ. और एडम गिलक्रिस्ट ने ये किया था कि he had a squash ball in his glove, क्योंकि उसका हाथ जो है ना वो wrist मुड़ रही थी, and he wasn't playing straight shots, so he to restrict his own self, which apparently seems like a great strategy.
Restriction.
Restriction. He's just started to bat with that squash ball in his glove and ended up with 157 or something, which still remains the highest score in a World Cup final. And yeah, I agree. I think every World Cup final has that great story. Ben Stokes, and
hitting the ball to the boundary.
2015, I think it was just Clark's closure. Perhaps as a captain. He'd been in the team for so long.
Closure, he wanted to win the World Cup, and I think that's what the team kind of got.
अब तो यही है कि बहाने ढूंढते हैं वो कि दिल चाह रहा है तो World Cup जीत जाते हैं.
And they've just been winning in the most random of places. We thought, the home teams are just winning every World Cup. But India has proved us wrong.
Yes. And this story, I think, is very important. Like in this World Cup, India does not have a story. Right? India has it in the plate. They're winning matches. They're coming to this final with 130,000 people watching, and it seems like a very straightforward equation. आप 400 रन बोर्ड पे रहेंगे और आप मैच जीत जाएंगे. That was their plan.
Cummins to the situation.
Cummins comes to the situation. Cummins the man. Cummins the hour.
Cummins the minute. Yes.
And Australia out of nowhere. I mean, in this tournament
made
at
it look
one
too
point,
easy as well. Made it look
in the tournament at one point they were at second last or something, and no one thought that they would qualify. Just by the way, and then they started winning on the trot.
I think the turning point was when they beat Pakistan. Obviously, we are the main characters.
हमने India को हराया basically.
One way or another.
So I think just crazy. फिर Maxwell की innings अफगानिस्तान के खिलाफ,
big one.
Something just clicked. And
top scores in the World Cup. Saw how it was like 177 by March.
Not even. He has a phone ringing.
Hello.
On air.
जी मैं अभी recording कर रहा हूँ मैं ठीक है.
This will.
Oh अच्छा.
This will go in the recording.
No. She was supposed to call for her sister.
Beautiful.
Khadija has told us to fuck off.
Really?
Yeah.
Khatija, why do you do something like that? But हाँ अभी मैं स्टीव स्मिथ को सुन रहा था और उसने कहा कि we had a few bad games and then we had a few good games, but once we were in the semi-finals, we knew that we were going to win because it's a different ball game. Right? There's no net run rate. There is no past over there. It's just those two matches that you have to win, and somehow they can narrow their focus every single time. And somehow India has this huge pressure of the entire World Cup that they're carrying on their backs.
Now they have to win.
जीतना है. But for Australia, it's just two simple ODI games. They have a plan and they execute it, and some great fielding also. Some great bowling, and I mean absolutely amazing batting by Travis Head. Game awareness, shot awareness, and with Australia,
I think it's also the gay awareness in their country, and I think that's also gone a long way to support them in this World Cup. With that, I think we can move to the So let's just before we move, why Pakistan lost the World Cup is what we wanted to get into.
Yes.
from 2019, we have 7 players who are still in the team. Some of them kind of came in as last time. Hassan Ali, for example, came in quite late and all. But 2015, से एक भी player नहीं है जो पाकिस्तान team में अभी खेल रहा हो. So I mean, you can just see the amount of difference and the lack of experience that comes in with every World Cup Pakistan's playing. I mean, someone like Stark is playing his 4th World Cup. And there are a bunch of other World Cups, Champions Trophy vagara in the middle, which they're playing. So I think their ability to just hold a team together is brilliant. Pakistan doesn't have that, unfortunately. And I think when it comes to a trophy where we have to win multiple matches, win consistently, we just won the Champions Trophy. Didn't have that much of that. We needed to win 3 matches to win the Champions Trophy. And I think ये जो wholesale changes अब हो रही हैं, I mean, what the fuck is this Australia tour management? Like, we have Mohammad Hafiz, the team director, Mickey, Arthur and Grant.
Mohammad Hafiz, the coach.
And Mohammad Hafiz, the
bowler. Mohammad Hafiz, the batter. Mohammad Hafiz, the masseuse.
Masseuse, yes. Malang Ali is about to go unemployed. Captain.
The media manager.
Media. Hot debate around media managers these days. I mean, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Wahab Riaz is chief selector. He's a minister of sports for Punjab, and he'll also be representing Peshawar Zalmi in the PSL.
He's a player too.
No player.
Sitting minister.
Yes.
Of sports.
No conflict of interest.
None whatsoever.
I wouldn't be surprised you saw our Peshawar Zalmi players getting into the team.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nawaz Sharif makes a comeback to his first class career.
Yeah. I mean, everybody, it's comeback time, Didi.
Modi bhi aa sakte hai udhar se.
Yeah. I mean, cricket is politics now. I really think we should move to another sport generally. Footsie is the sport you're thinking about.
No. That's the sport you're thinking about.
Well,
I said what I said.
So why did Pakistan lose the World Cup then?
Yeah, it's difficult to pinpoint, and I don't like the very reductionist sort of things that people are saying कि या सिंपलिस्टिक चीज़ों से ये चीज़ एक्सप्लेन नहीं की जा सकती है. आप सिर्फ ये नहीं कह सकते कि कैप्टनसी बुरी थी तो हम बाबर को जो है वो फायर कर देते हैं, या कोचिंग बुरी थी तो हम कोचिंग स्टाफ को फायर कर देते हैं, या चेयरमैनशिप बुरी थी तो हम चेयरमैन को बदल देंगे. ये बहुत एक रिडक्टिव चीज़ है. इस तरह क्रिकेट खेली नहीं जाती. क्रिकेट एक बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स गेम है, और उसके लिए आपको यू नीड अ लॉट ऑफ क्लैरिटी and you need a lot of structural clarity in itself. यानी कि you can't have individual clarity.
Structure?
ये नहीं हो सकता कि
What's that?
Exactly. ये नहीं हो सकता कि चेयरमैन कहे जी मेरे पास क्लैरिटी है मैं ये करूँगा. Like you have to build structures and you have to follow those procedures.
Top to bottom.
हाँ. और ये हम कहते थे ग्रास रूट्स, लेकिन आप ग्रास रूट्स को भी छोड़ दें. इवन अगर आप नेशनल लेवल पे अपने हालात बेहतर कर लेंगे ना, यानी कि फ्रॉम द फर्स्ट क्लास टू द नेशनल लेवल, आप उसके नीचे छोड़ दें क्लब क्रिकेट या ग्रेड क्रिकेट या स्कूल क्रिकेट, आप वो छोड़ दें. अगर आप सिर्फ फर्स्ट क्लास टू इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट वाला स्ट्रक्चर सही कर सकते हैं अपना, तो यू विल सी डिविडेंड्स एंड दोज विल स्टार्ट विद टेस्ट क्रिकेट. एंड आई थिंक दैट्स वेयर वी शुड फोकस ऑन. आई मीन ODIs आप जीत सकते हैं, लेकिन यही टीम है उनकी जो टेस्ट मैच खेलती है ऑस्ट्रेलिया की. एंड दे हैव द सेम लेंथ्स, दे हैव द सेम टेक्निक, दे हैव ग्रेट स्टैमिना,
fucking good fitness,
एंड दे हैव ग्रेट गेम अवेयरनेस, बिकॉज दे नो कि अगर आपने 80 या 60 ओवर दिन के जो है वो गुजारने हैं बाहर, तो ये तो 50 तो कुछ भी नहीं है आपके लिए अंडर द लाइट्स एंड लाइक विद लाइक ड्रिंक्स एंड व्हाटएवर. आई मीन, and that's it. You have to improve your test cricket, and the only way you do that is that you start with first class cricket.
Yeah, I want to talk about a couple of things here. So firstly, as an Australian, you're also constantly like, what, the fucking 6th most important sport? Who cares about a cricketer in Australia? So the point is they're constantly also like trying to prove that they're an athlete, and I think that kind of, because the standard is so high in Australia for what an athlete looks like. I mean, when our example is what? Who is our example? Nobody.
Athlete कौन है?
Athlete कौन है?
Yeah.
Like you can't think of a single person.
Azam Khan.
Azam Khan. He's quite an athlete, yeah. But and then kind of coming back and piggying back off your point of how the cricket board is run. Recently, there's also been. I mean, it's very clear that the board has some serious issues with Mohammad Rizwan, Babar Azam. What's happened, I think, over the last few years is the power all of these players have been able to gain, and I think PSL has a lot to do with it. Their performances, I think, have a lot to do with it, and Mohammad Rizwan and Babar Azam turned down some very hefty deals from betting companies. I think Babar Azam was offered 25 crore, 250 million. How much is that?
Wow. Yeah.
25 crore, 25 crore. And Rizwan was offered like I think 15 or something, and they rejected the offers. Those weren't, you can also say, like kind of like bribes to get them to accept, the national team to allow that sponsor to come in. Rizwan denied, putting the logo on during the Multan Sultan's time as well. So they've been very clear on their stance. It is illegal here. Of course, the betting company coming here doesn't legalize it in Pakistan as well. So people in Pakistan can't bet or engage in betting because of that, but it does promote it. And I respect that they want to be stuck on that principle. And I wouldn't particularly have the same opinion, but like they've taken a stand for it, and the board has a lot of problems with it.
And to circle back here to the idea and the question of why Pakistan has lost the World Cup lies deep within what happens outside of the field, and that remains one of Pakistan cricket's biggest problems. That if something that happens outside the field is already deciding what your team dynamic looks like, then there's very little that you can do on the field to win a match. It's almost as if Pakistan's World Cup was decided much before they went into the field to play their first match. And that starts with bad first-class cricket structures, and then that starts with, as Harsha said, and we quoted in the last episode as well, the most comical thing are the people who are running Pakistan cricket. The constant changes of the chairman. पिछले एक साल के अंदर कितने हुए होंगे अगर तुम नवंबर टू नवंबर
पिछले एक साल में तो 3-4 changes
3-4 chairmans
Zaka Ashraf is fucking here for his or photo ops and just like getting video. I mean, the coverage of Zaka Ashraf has been put more effort into than the fucking ODI Cup that's going on or what of Liste Cup.
हाँ exactly. और उसके बाद बाबर के बारे में आपने कैंपेन शुरू कर दी during the World Cup. In case you don't have an idea. Like you started a campaign against Babar Azam.
That notice that issue that created the whole issue with the media manager getting.
You sacked the media manager. You ran a campaign against Babar Azam on Twitter. You sent journalists who were paid, were on your payroll to ask your captain difficult questions. And as soon as their World Cup was over and they were barely, they had stepped back home, you called them into the office with their successors and you fired them, and you did a photo op with all of them, and you announced very quickly, और वो एक घंटे में वो 5 posts थी which were जो PCB ने की, which defined all the changes that had happened with Babar out and then 2 new captains in. और अगर आप मुझसे पूछेंगे कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया जो अब टीम जा रही है हमारी टेस्ट मैच खेलने वो क्यों हारेगी, तो मैं आपको बता सकता हूँ कि वो उधर डिसाइड नहीं होगा उस ग्राउंड के ऊपर. It has already been decided.
I think even mentally the entire, at least in the nation's kind of conscience, it's that how bad is it going to be? And I think every time we go into Australia, that's what it seems like. How bad will we get thrashed? We're going to lose. Can we put a fight in a couple of sessions during the test match? I think that's all we have. I think the last time we played any cricket worth watching in Australia was when Misbah was captain. When we put up a pretty good fight in, I think it was Sydney. I think besides that, we haven't seen. I mean, you remember what Ponting said last time? One of the worst bowling.
The lineups to have landed on our shores.
Landed on the Australian shore. And I don't know what the fuck he's going to say now. Whatever he says, I think we're much ready for it and much expecting it because of how shit the... I mean, no hate on the players for this, to be honest. It's the system which is so poor, so broken, and it seems like it keeps coming back, keeps circling back to instability. I think there was stability in the middle, but जब तक politics रहेगी cricket में, it's just going to be like that. I think this is an opportunity for them to invest in other sports, so cricket can kind of take the load off. Like Babar Azam should not have to worry about being
the Prime Minister,
the fucking Prime Minister
after 30 years. Yeah,
like he shouldn't have to worry about
yeah,
being on Twitter trending every single day of his life.
Yeah,
whether he laughs or doesn't laugh,
or gets a driving license.
Yes,
apparently वो भी हुआ था.
It should be nobody's problem.
Yeah, and that is the difference between why Australia won and why Pakistan lost. And even India lost. India के भी मसले हैं इस तरह के. हमसे काफ़ी बेहतर हो चुके हैं वो with their domestic structures and first class structures. And we know how much politics there is inside their team and especially inside their board. And it's directly linked to whoever's in power. And until that keeps happening, there will always be problems that keep on occurring. But congratulations to Australia. Commiserations to India. But well
again, congratulations to Australia.
Yes. And for us, I think it's the bad days are over. The worst days
are yet to come.